Today, we are going to be talking about some of the best cores for Regulation D. Now, I spent the last month playing hundreds, if not thousands of games on Showdown, testing a bunch of different Pokemon to figure out what works and what doesn't. With Regulation D just a couple of days away, I'll be doing a tier list and dropping some rental codes for you guys to try out. So if that's something you're interested in, smash that like button and consider subscribing, as we are about to go hard on the Regulation D content in the lead up to the World Championship. So to start things off, we're going to look at what I think is probably the best core right now, and that is the Urshifu Knight combo. Now, basically, Urshifu Knight is a core that is really damn good. I should probably also state that it doesn't really matter. Like, I think both Urshifu, are really good in this core. I think this is probably where Urshifu's Single Strike, shines the most, is on a Power Knight core. Its Sucker Punches with like Terra Dark next to Chien-Pao are absolutely insane. Same with its Wicked Blows. But Single Strike is definitely the more consistent of the two. Now, basically, what makes this core so damn good is Sword of Ruin, right? So if you read this ability, it reduces everyone's defense by a multiplier of 0.75. Basically, this means everyone's defense stat is 25% less than it normally would be. Now, obviously, lowering your own defense isn't great, but when you pair this with something like, say, a Choice Band, Inner Focus, yeah, that's fine. Extreme Speed, everyone knows this cover right here. Dragonite, you go Terra Normal. You go E-Speed. It's just, like, this mon pumps out so much damage. If you get, like, 252 Adamant, like, there's a lot of mons you just straight up one-shot. Like, this mon is absolutely insane. And then this mon right here, you've got, like, this move, right? You got an Aqua Jet, you got your Surging Strikes. Your Surging Strikes, if you add speed something, Surging Strikes is absolutely insane. On sets like this as well, you could always run things like Choice Scarf. Choice Scarf's really good, especially, for, like, outspeeding and one-shotting FLuttuermanes, it's really good. There's obviously always, like, if you're running, say, like a Tornadus with this team, you can always run like Mystic Water. Choice Band's another option, but again, if you got the D-Knight, that's probably where you want it. But Chien-Pao is just, like, this mon right now, honestly, could be the most, like, meta-defining mon, I think, right now. Obviously, you're running things like Ice Spinner. You're running things like, you got the Sucker Punch. Again, priority just wins games right now. Sacred Sword's really good as well. But, the Heatrans and whatnot of the meta. King Gambit as well, I think, is the one that's probably going to rise. You run Protect, and this mon's pretty simple. I personally do think you run Adamant. A big reason for that is no FLuttuermanes right now. Like, every FLuttuermane that isn't Speed Booster is bulky FLuttuermane. If they're Speed Booster, they outspeed you anyway. If they're not Speed Booster, they are not Timid Max Speed. And you will outspeed them, and you will one-shot them. The bulky FLuttuermanes, they tech for the Jolly Ice Spinner. They do not tech for the Adamant Ice Spinner, so that is something to keep in mind. And then Dragonite, again, this mon, it's just, it does so much, right? Like, a typical set is something like this. You might throw Aerial Ace on there. You can run Earthquake if you want, which is a little less, it's a little less common, though. There's obviously Outrage is sick. You can run Dragon Claw as well if you want. I have personally been testing a bit of Dragon Tail recently. Dragon Tail is really cool for Trick Room because, say, for example, they lead something like, Cresselia plus a Fake Out mon, right? Ideally, they would fake out one mon, set up the Trick Room, but with Inner Focus and Dragon Tail, you're never getting flinched, and you can get that Cresselia out before it sets up Trick Room. So that's a really cool tech, but I do think Outrage is probably slightly better just because this is... An Outrage off of Banded D-Knight is stupid, especially next to Sword of Ruin. Like, this mon, it does too much. It does too much. There's other options, too. You got things like Stomping Tantrum, is really good. Yeah, you can always run, like, Terra Blast, Terra Flying as well, but I don't think that's as good on Banded, but... these two mons together are insane. And then again, this mod is just, again, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. If you're a Scarf set, you probably slap like U-Turn on this. If you're a Mystic, if you're basically anything that isn't Choice, you just slap Protect on there. Same goes for the Single Strike version. I do think on Shifu, you probably want either Terra, Water, or Grass. Grass is really good for a Moongus. Water is just good for, increasing your damage. Basically, and I think what makes this core so damn good as well is its flexibility, right? You can run this on a more balanced team. You pair it up with things like one of the next cores we'll talk about, which is say an Indeedee, which maybe Indeedee actually isn't the best. I think that's a bad example. I think if you're relying on the priority, Indeedee's not great. But things like Rillaboom, Heatran, FLuttuermane, you can always slap a Tornadus on this as well if you want to go super aggressive. Like, this core is just so damn good. It's so flexible. You can pair it with like almost anything. You see people running this with like Cresselia and Ursaluna. Like, it really just puts in the work. Yeah, honestly, it's broken, man. Like, Chien-Pao paired up with these two mons is absolutely absurd. Like, it doesn't matter if your opponent says Trick Room, right? You can just E-Speed the Ursalunas and the whatnots of the world before they can really do anything, even under Trick Room. It is absolutely insane. So the next little core I want to look at here is basically an answer to the first core that we just spoke about. And this is something I've been running a lot recently and I think is really, really good. It is only a 2-mon core, but it's very, very splashable. Again, you can pair this with a lot of different cores. It works really well with a lot of the Tornadus teams. You could even pair it on things like screens, you know, whatever really you're feeling. Like this can be used on HO, it can be used on like more balanced teams. It's really, really good. And that is using Indeedee basically as your answer to the core we just spoke about, right? So I love Psychic Surge plus Rocky Helmet. You pair that with Follow Me, and basically what this allows you to do is, you know, if there is a Chien-Pao in front of you, if it, Ice Spinners you, which it normally has to do because you're going to make it, redirect into you, the Rocky Helmet is going to break its Focus Sash, and then our FLuttuermane over here with its Dazzling Gleam is going to one-shot it. It's just going to kill it. It's fantastic. FLuttuermane is arguably the best Pokemon in the game right now. I think it's right there probably with Chien-Pao as like the top 2 mons. I personally just love something like this. It's super standard. Like everyone runs this. We were talking about the bulk as well earlier. On our we're talking about Chien-Pao, being able to one-shot this. A lot of people run something like, I believe it's like this is like the standard set. If you want to like live a Jolly Chien-Pao. Personally, I actually dropped this down just a wee bit. I like to run something like this because it allows you to speed creep other FLuttuermanes. But yeah, this is just, in my opinion, this is like the anti-meta core right now. Like obviously FLuttuermane's like broken, but you pair this with Indeedee. Indeedee can also run things like Trick Room and Prison. Like if your team struggles into Trick Room, you always have this option right here. With the Rocky Helmet, the Ursalunas aren't going to be able to one-shot you as easily. I also personally love Terra Steel on this. I think Terra Steel is really good, again, for Power Knight, because, if they try to Outrage plus, say they go for Outrage Ice Spinner, right? You resist both. If you've eventually at some point got to take an E-Speed, you can take it. If you're up against Ursaluna, you can eat the Facades. Like this does, does quite a lot of work here with this. Alternatively as well, you could look at things like Terra Fairy if you want, which is also not bad, but not necessarily my favorite. I do love Psychic on this one as well. I've been running Psychic over Gleam. Back in the day, I think Gleam with Terra Fairy was really, really good. But yeah, I love Psychic. You can always swap this out for something like Helping Hand. You can always throw Protect here. It really comes down to what your team needs. But right now, I think this is like one of the perfect anti-meta cores. I also like running something like this. Just go here, max, and you just like spread the last 4. Basically, the reason I do this is just to, potentially speed creep Indeedees, who are not max speed. And I go bold. This is like, again, also, this is really good into the Urshifu Rapid Strikes. They will not one-shot you, and they will deal 50% of their own HP to themselves on the Rocky Helmet. And then FLuttuermane will just pick it up. It doesn't matter if they're, like Terra Water or anything like that to try to survive it. You gotta KO them because Rocky Helmet is really, really damn good. The next core is a core we have spoken about quite a bit on the channel, and that is, in my opinion, the best Fire Water Grass core going around right now. So this is the Rillaboom, Urshifu, and Heatran core. Now, you can always slap Amoonguss in the Rillaboom slot, and I think it's still really, really good. You can honestly even add Amoonguss to this team. It is just such a good balance core, between the ability to have Fake Out Pressure here, the ability to basically hard wall the Flutterfish here, with either like, say, Leftovers or Assault Vest even. And like, Leftovers on Heatran paired up with Rillaboom is so damn good because you're getting 12% of your HP back every turn, right? Like, if you like go like lefties on this mon, like slap a Protect here, like each turn you're getting 12% of your HP back. A lot of people also run sub, like you see like sets like this right now are like really, really popular. And then you go like Heat Wave or Flamethrower here. But like you're able to like sub up, click Protect, and then you're back to full HP behind a sub. It's like really, really damn good. Rillaboom's another one. It loves a few different items right now. Lefties is kind of popular on this. I do think Assault Vest is like the best one on this right now. Because Assault Vest like allows you just to like eat a hit from FLuttuermane and then like potentially just like revenge kill it. In terms of like its main stabs, I personally like Woodhammer, but you can run Jungle Beating. Jungle Beating, Drum Beating. You've always got this option here to lower your opponent's speed by 1. I like Woodhammer because Woodhammer allows you to one-shot FLuttermanes. And then from there, you have a lot of good utility. I think U-Turn is like almost always like a must-have, especially on an AV set. And then in that last slot, you've got a lot of things, right? You got like Knock Off, my personal favorite, Stomping Tantrum. But yeah, this one just has like, it has a lot of really good physical moves, right? If you have a look at it, there's just a lot. Like if your team's weak to screens, you can throw Brick Break on it. It has things like Drain Punch. But again, I'd probably always just like run Jungle Beating in there. Never run Earthquake. Earthquake does half damage because of Grassy Surge. Don't forget that, guys. But yeah, like this one has a lot of good things. You can also go for things like Trailblaze as well if you want this one to like be eventually like a late game sweeper. It is just a really, really, really consistent mon. I definitely think one of the better mons in the format. In terms of EVs, I personally just do something like this. You want this mon to be like super bulky. Like that, its kind of job is just to like stay alive. You can invest a bit of speed, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what you want. I personally love running something like this. I do think it is just really, really nice. Like, it's a decent speed tier, 114, you know, especially if you do pair this up with something like a Tornadus or even like a Thundy with like Scary Face or T-Wave, it's really good. With that 100 defense plus the Assault Vest with, you know, your absurd HP stat, like, it's, yeah, like, this mod becomes so damn tanky. It's really good. In terms of the terrors, I think you either want Water or Fire. I've been playing around with Fire a bit recently, and I think it's really, really good. And then, yeah, we touched on this one. Like, Heatran, like, the cool thing with Heatran is you can play this in so many ways, right? Like, if you want to pair this with, like, you know, again, if you want to pair this with Taunt, Thunder, you know, some form of speed control, you know, 76 speed is, like, a decent amount for, like, a relatively slow mon that, like, you're not really using to outspeed anything. But when you look at its defensive stats, like, 106 in each defensive stat basically means you can just, like, pump this into here. You can, like, run this up. Like, even if you want, like, if you're like me and just like to go to your bump, you could always do something like this. It's just a really, really good mon. Personally, I do like going something like this. I like to just like maximize my damage. Like you see that there, 200 special attack is absurd. Like that's more than what FLuttuermanes are doing right now. This is also like pretty decent as well for, you know, just generally dealing damage. Like we touched on items before. Like we were saying, like Assault Vest is good, right? With Assault Vest, you can also like go 4 attacks, which is nice. Life Orb is also like stupid on this mon. Like if you like look at this attack stat and then you look at Life Orb, because like this is my set I've been running on Life Orb. It's like so much, and then you can just go like Flash Cannon here, and then you can go like Terra Blast here, and then the Terra you almost always want is Grass. This is just like really, really damn good. Again, you probably don't want like this exact set on a Life Orb set. You probably want to like swap one of these out for Protect. Most likely is either the Flash Cannon or the Terra Blast. I think probably Flash Cannon, honestly, would be like the better one to drop, because like Terra Grass, Terra Blast into like Urshifu, even like Gastrodon's running around for like the Urshifu matchups, like you get a lot of mileage out of that Terra Grass, and this one can just like pump damage. Another really cool Terra though I have seen people adapting to is the Terra Bug. Now the reason Terra Bug I guess is getting played on this is because a lot of people, their answers to Heatran are like, you know, for example, say you lead, you've got Heatran into a Urshifu Rapid Strike. Everyone knows you're just going to go Terra Grass, so you may as well just CC it, right? Like, it's still super effective. Even if they Terra, it's just neutral. So it's really consistent in that regard, where if they go for the Terra Bug, you actually resist the fighting moves, which is, you know, really, really good, especially into, you know, again, the Urshifus, which are pretty common. Even like the Chien-Paos, like some Chien-Paos are going to go for the Sacred Sword into you and whatnot, and it just allows you to tank that extra attack. And then basically fire off a Heat Wave and just, you know, pick up some KOs. And then finally, the Urshifu, again, this mon can do it all right. You can Scarf it, you can Mystic Water it. You can honestly AV this mon as well. I do think, like, AV Terra Grass on this is actually, like, really cool. Because, like, what this allows you to do, right, is you go, like, the normal ones, right? You go, like, Surging Strikes, you go Aqua Jet, you go Close Combat, right? Like, it doesn't matter what set you're playing. You almost always want these 3 moves on every set. Like, maybe on Scarf, you could probably drop Jet for, like, U-Turn. But yeah, like I think you want those 3 always. And then like a really cool one as well, if you are like the AV, you can go Trailblaze. Like Trailblaze is like really good again for like the Gastrodons that are running around trying to like counter you. It's really good into the mirror matchup as well, because if you can Trailblaze while they try to like CC you or something, you know, you can pick up, you know, some like super effective damage and then put him in range of the next CC or something along those lines. But yeah, that's really good for like an AV set. Also really good at helping get around Amoonguss, because like Amoonguss is the best counter to this mon right now. But you could always run, you know, my go-to, which is just like the Water Mystic Water here. This thing just pumps out damage, especially if you put like a Tornadus on this team with like a Rain. The mon is like really, really, really damn strong. I do think you like almost always want to go like near max adamant. I like doing this. And then basically the bulk and the speed's up to you. I've seen people run like no speed. I've seen stuff like this before where they'll go like something along these lines. I've also seen people go, you know, like this, right? It really comes down to your team and how you want to run it. But yeah, this mon is like, it's just super versatile. It's so good into a lot of the mons right now. And as I said, this is just another super, super splashable core. You can pair this with anything. You can pair this with like, you know, Torn plus Flutter. You can slap this on, you know, the core we were talking about earlier, where you pair this up with, you know, like a Power Knight. You can always put this thing on like screens as well. Like these 3 mons behind screens are really good. Like I love Urshifu Rapid Strike behind screens with an AV. Like it makes this mon super, super tanky. They also do love Amoonguss. We kind of touched on that at the start. It loves, you know, Intimidate, especially Landorus. Like I love Scarf Landorus on teams like this. Like it is really just a splashable core, and it is without a doubt one of the most consistent cores we have right now. Now, speaking of consistency, we have the new core that is really picking up right now, and that is Hisuian and Goodra teams. Now, Hisuian and Goodra is a mon that can be played on a few different teams, but right now, my favorite core around it is actually like it's a Goodra screens core, basically. So, I think you pair it with Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is just so good with this. Originally, when I built this, I did try Klefki, but I think having Parting Shot on this team is sick. And then you pair this up with Lando and Amoonguss. Now, the way you build this is, it's really up to you. I personally love the lefty set with the Shell Armor. Now, I know Sap Sipper does get a bit of play. Terra Water with Sap Sipper is really good. It basically means your only weakness is electric. And right now, like, the only real electric Pokemon running around are like Thunderus is the best electric mon right now, and then you have like the occasional Alecki and Zapdos, which aren't really that common, surprisingly. But yeah, going like Terra Water is really good at helping you tank the Urshifu single strikes, because like with Sap Sipper and Terra Water, like you don't care. But I do think Shell Armor is the better set. I do personally right now like Shell Armor plus Terra Fairy. This allows you to eat the close combats and the wicked blows coming out of the Urshifus. Obviously, it doesn't allow you to like eat Surging Strikes, you know, in terms of like resisting it. But with Shell Armor, Surging Strike really isn't that good. In terms of the move, you almost always want Acid Armor. I know people like running Shelter because it's a signature move, but they're the exact same, and this has double the PP. There's Heavy Slam, which again, I think Heavy Slam's like a must. This allows you to one-shot FLuttuermanes. You got Body Press, which pairs super well. And then the last slot is either normally Protect or Life Dew, depending what you think your team needs. Now, in terms of like the EVs on this, I like to just go like max with the, you know, the plus nature here. Basically, the reason we go plus nature into the Spadef is because you already hit that 170, which is just a break point, right? You don't need any investment in it to make it any better. Then you can just go 1 point here for speed creeping, or you can go 1 point in damage. I like to go damage because normally, you know, Goodras aren't hurting each other, right? If you're both Terra Fairy, your Heavy Slams are doing nothing because like you're both really heavy, and your Body Presses aren't doing anything anyway. But yeah, I think right now this is without a doubt, one of the best mons in the meta. And basically the team around it, I won't go too much into the EVs for these mons. But basically it's like Light Clay. Oh, sorry, it's Light Ball. It's Light Clay, Prankster. Your Terra can be whatever. I like Fire just to help me out with the FLuttuermane matchups. I think it's really good to like eat a Dazzling Gleam, set up a Light Screen, and then just Parting Shot out of there. I do think Parting Shot is without a doubt like something that makes this, like it really makes this core go. And then Spirit Break. Because like, basically, with Parting Shot, Screens, and Spirit Break, you can kind of just, like, neuter any special attacker, and even physical attackers. Like, really, the only ones you can't Parting Shot off right now are Clear Amulet users and Chien-Pao and, I guess, Single Strike Urshifu. But realistically, you're not Parting Shotting off either of those. You're just trying to pick up a KO with Spirit Break because you can really mess them up. Lando is another mon I love on this core with Choice Scarf. And I'll kind of explain why, you know, these mons all, like, work super well together. But I just go like U-Turn, I go Terra Blast, I go Rock Slide, and I go Stomping Tantrum. I do think this is probably like the most consistent set on this. You pair this with Terra Flying just to give yourself that Flying Stab. Because again, like a Flying Stab off like this here, I'll give you, I run to like this. So this is basically how I run mine right now. I know I said I was going to go into it, but yeah, that's how I basically run my Landos right now. And then Amoonguss is just, again, it's Amoonguss, right? You go Regenerator, you got Spore, you got Rage Powder, right? That's all that really matters. Polar Buff as well actually matters. And the last slot Protect's really good. I'll give you guys some sauce. I've been running Leaf Storm because Leaf Storm actually allows you to one-shot non-bulky Urshifu waters. Even if they ignore you, you just Leaf Storm when you one-shot them. It's great. Basically, what this core has that I think is fantastic, right, is, you know, you lead this with like Hisuian and Goodra. You know, you're trying to get up your Acid Armors, right? And then you just go Screens into Parting Shot, into the Landorus, you U-turn out back into like, you know, the Amoonguss or the Grimmsnarl, and basically you just like start cycling these mons, right? Like it just becomes incredibly annoying to deal with, right? It's like, oh, okay, like we got to get rid of the Hisuian Goodra. It's like, oh, well, he set up his screens, he Parting Shot it out into his Landorus, he got the Intimidate off, he U-turned off us, now he's into Amoonguss, he's redirecting while he's healing, and just, it starts becoming super obnoxious to deal with, especially if you can't get that Goodra off the field fast, because if you can't kill the Goodra and you're just able to cycle through these three mons, the game becomes like almost impossible. You can't bring down the Goodra, you can't crit it, the Lando is slowly chipping you away, you're getting, you know, Rocky Helmet chip. Not to mention, that's like one of my favorite things as well, is like, you know, you have the Landorus in a slot, right? And then it's like, you just like U-turn, like, you know, brings like, how do I explain this? Like, I've done a lot where I'll have the Landorus in, I'll swap it out, I'll parting shot, and then put it back in on the other side. And then all of a sudden, some physical attack is just like -2 attack in one turn, and all of a sudden they do 0 damage. It's like, yeah, this core's really, really damn good. Mons they love as well. I love both Moltres on this team, funny enough. I think, you know, Galarian Moltres is really good for being that secondary setup mon. Especially, you know, if like your opponent is running like, you know, taunt mons, right? Especially like, you know, the prankster taunt mons, either Thundy or Torn. They're almost always going to try taunt your Goodra turn 1. Because of that, I think Indeedee is another really good mod on this team. Anything that really stops priority as well, you know, Farig, Serena, whatever, they all have a place on this team. I do also think Rillaboom is really nice on this team as well because of Fake Out. Again, Grassy Surge as well is really nice just to basically allow Goodra to slowly heal up. And I touched on it before, Cantonian Moltres as well, I've had a lot of success with on this team. I think Cantonian Moltres, you can actually EV it, so with a Citrus Berry, it never dies to Urshifu Rapid Strike, which is really good because, you know, 3 Surging Strikes, good chance they're getting burnt, which is really, really cool. But yeah, this is without a doubt, I think, one of the more consistent cores we have right now, and it's super annoying to deal with. If you can't break it, it's gonna slowly stall you out, and then Goodra's gonna just 1v4 your whole team. Now, moving away from some of the super meta cores to another really fun core. Now, this is something I've been seeing pick up quite a bit recently, and that is the Thundy Enamorus. Now, I'm sure most of you at this point already know what this does, but if you don't, it's this really cool like synergy where you go like this, right? So you've got Prankster, you've got Eerie Impulse, and Scary Face. So normally these are fantastic support moves for basically neutering the opponents, right? I love, you know, Scary Facing Urshifus basically to, you know, pick them up with a one-shot on Dazzling Gleam or something like that. It's also really good at neutering, you know, opposing FLuttuermanes, right? If there's a FLuttuermane in front of you, you just instantly make it -2 special attack. And instead of, you know, doing 80% to you, it just did 40% to you. And now the game looks really, really rough. But the reason they're so good in this core is because Enamorus has got Contrary, right? So basically it does the opposite of what you're trying to do. So if you self Eerie Impulse, rather than being -2 special attack, you're +2 special attack, same with Scary Face, right? You make this thing +2 speed. So this combo can really quickly start taking over a game. And when you look at this absurdly high special attack stat, you really don't have to invest that much into it. If you go something like this, you hit like a truck. Like with 36 special attack and Modest, you're insanely strong. You can easily, you know, just like run this up to outspeed, you know, Regielekis if they're not, you know, like Choice Scarf or something along those lines. And then you can just dump the rest into bulk. Like, this here makes this mon super tanky. It has really good moves as well. Like having Earth Power is like super sick into like all the Steel and Fire types that are gonna resist your Fairy moves. And then from there, it's just you slap on a couple Fairy moves, right? You can go Dazzling Gleam, you got Moonblast, you got Springtide Storm if you want that. Personally, I do like running double Fairy like that. Alternatively as well, like I do think Protect's like the best move on this. You could always as well look to slap something in this slot, the Tailwind, right? You can run Tailwind, which I think is also really, really good, especially on these Thundy teams. Like, sometimes you want your Thundy to be that little bit quicker, because I personally like going Thunderbolt and playing mine a bit bulky, but I also do run just a little bit of special attack. I go something like this on my Thundy, basically to allow me to take out opposing Tornaduses. I think it's really good. And then, yeah, but to fill this out, again, you just go something like, you go Citrus Berry, you go like Terra Steel, and then, yeah, in the last slot, it could be whatever you want. I think Taunt's really good. It helps you out in certain matchups. And then from there, it's kind of just like, you know, figuring out how much, you know, of everything you need. Going this allows you to speed tie Urshifus as well. So if they have to be basically Jolly Max. If they aren't, you're just going to like pick them up with a Thunderbolt before they do anything. So something like that's really good. Again, I like running this. In terms of the items, there's a lot of things you can do. You can run Pixie Plate. You can run Life Orb. I have been playing Lefties. I like Lefties a bit because you can play this one a bit slower. Lefties is also really good as well if you say run something like Superpower, because what that allows you to do is really, really bulk up. There is a third one. I'll quickly touch on this one. A third one you can pair with this is this. You go Parting Shot and you go Fake Tears. Basically, like with this core here, you can basically make the Enamorus like incredibly bulky, right? Like you've got the Thundy, which can make you really offensive, but then you've got the Grimmsnarl who can make you really bulky. You know, you can go things like Superpower to raise your defense. You can go Fake Tears to raise your special defense and make this one just like super tanky. Obviously, running Superpower, you probably would be more of a mixed spread rather than, you know, going minus attack here. But yeah, this mon is, it's just a really fun core. I really like this. It is a team I'm currently working on at the minute. I'll hopefully have a rental out for that as well in a couple of days. But yeah, this team is really, really fun. So the next core I quickly want to touch on here is everyone's favorite. It's the Ursaluna and Cresselia core. Now, I do think this core has kind of dropped off recently because I think everyone has kind of been spamming it and everyone's trying to play it on hard Trick Room, which I do think is kind of an issue. So What I mean by that is I think this core is actually deceptively good even with that Trick Room. Ursaluna is a mon where his set's pretty simple, right? You're going to run something like this almost every game. You're going to have Protect there, and then your last move can be whatever. People run Earthquake. I think Earthquake's bad with Rillaboom in the meta. Crunch is something that is picking up a lot, and the reason for that is people are going just Terra Ghost on this mon, right? So this is basically a pretty standard Ursaluna set, right? This is what all the kids are running here. You go Brave, you go Zero Attack here. That is what it is. So this is what everyone's playing. But I do think that building this mon particularly for hard Trick Room isn't necessarily the best thing. And the reason for that is if you have a look at it, it is, sure, it's slow at 50 speed. It's pretty bad. But its other stats are insane. 130 HP is like absurd. 140 attack on a Guts mon is like absolutely broken. Like with Claymore, this mon hits for 305 damage, which is like, sorry, 315 damage, which is 16 damage. Goddamn. But yeah, it's an absurdly high attack stat. Its defense at 105 is like really, really good. And like 80 special defense is like, okay, it's not bad. And because of that, I do think people are really underestimating like Assault Vest on this mon, right? I do really think that this dual core here, like even if you run some speed, because again, you can run something like this and then like allow this mon to like function under Tailwind. You could like run this up to like, you know, maybe drop like a little bit of HP or something, run this up to like 75. And like this mon can like outspeed some mons in Tailwind and still be really slow where like you can use Trick Room. And then Cresselia, I think this is without a doubt one of the best support mons we have right now. A lot of people are running Mental Herb with like, you know, Terra Fairy. There's options as well going like Terra Dark with Covet Cloak as well. I do think they're probably like the two like go-tos right now. But this mon's just done, right? It has Trick Room, which is fantastic. It has Lunar Blessing, which is like, again, fantastic. And then from there, it can just do a lot of things, right? Again, you don't even have to play this mon on Trick Room. You can use this as like a bulky Icy Wind user. You could always go like Moonblast, which I think is like fantastic on this mon. Like I've seen a lot of people do stuff like this, where they'll go like Calm Mind, they'll go Lunar Blessing, Icy Wind, Moonblast. And it's like, okay, if you're going to ignore the Cresselia, which a lot of people do, right? They want to get rid of Cresselia's partner. All of a sudden it clicks Calm Mind twice, right? And like, yeah, you know, maybe you've got something like this. It's like, yeah, that's not much, but all of a sudden you click 2 Calm Minds and you're attacking like you're a FLuttuermane, right? And like this mon, it's so bulky. Look at these defensive stats, man. It's got a crazy HP stat. Its defensive stats are nutty too. And its speed, like, a mon this bulky should not have this much speed, right? With the ability to click Calm Mind, like, it is kind of wild. Like, I honestly do think that Cresselia on like, on some of these, you know, other teams where they're not like Trick Room focused can really run something like, you know, you can run something like this and just go like Modest, right? And then it's like, okay, like now I actually deal damage, you know, maybe you drop this or, you know, drop Lunar Blessing for like Psychic or Psy Shock. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, like, you know, maybe you just want to ignore the Cresselia, but it's like, all right, if you let like this mon here, like if you let Cresselia click Calm Mind once, all of a sudden it's hitting like a truck, right? And then you're still insanely bulky, right? You can like run these things up, like match them, you know, we'll go like, yeah, we'll go like that, yeah? We'll match that, yeah. So just run something like this. It's a super, super bulky mon. It can hit so hard. And it has so much utility. Lunar Blessing, you know, again, we touched on it. Trick Room, like, Trick Room plus Ursaluna, it's like insane. Like, that. This is really a dual core that can just be paired with anything, right? Like, you can run this hard Trick Room if you want. You can run this, you know, in like Sun Room. I think Sun Room's like a really good archetype for it right now. You could pair it up with, you know, some of the cores we touched on earlier. I've seen people running like the Urshifu Power Knight with Cresselia and Ursaluna because it's like, oh, you know, you need something to stop the, you know, the Chien-Pao D-Knight from just sweeping you. So you lead these specific leads, and then all of a sudden you're facing an Ursaluna, and you're like, crap, this isn't a, you know, this isn't a Chien-Pao I'm looking at. This is an Ursaluna next to a Cresselia, and yeah, it's just a really, really strong duo that I think is super splashable and can be played, you know, you can play this on Tornadus teams, you can play this on balanced teams, you can play this hyper offensive teams. Like, it's just such a good core, man. I do really think this is a team that once everyone starts playing Regulation D, these two are gonna, I think their popularity is gonna rise and people are gonna start realizing, yeah, like, Ursaluna is that guy. Now, we did just speak about Tornadus, so I want to talk about the king of hyper offense right now. Tornadus is, without a doubt, one of my favorite Pokemon to use right now. So, you know, we touched on it before. You've got the Urshifu Power Knight, which I think is also an insanely good hyper offensive team. But Tornadus can work on that team, and it can work with two other cores that I want to look at here. And these are more weather-focused cores. Now, Tornadus is a Pokemon normally wants to run one of two things. I personally like Mental Herb plus Terra Ghost. I know a lot of people are running like max speed Covet Cloak. The only issue I have with max speed Covet Cloak is I feel like everyone is running max speed now. So even when I run max speed, I like Mental Herb just to basically, you know, allow myself to play into the mirror. But there is basically two main ways this mon is being run right now. So you've got Tailwind. Everyone knows Tailwind. Tailwind's fantastic, right? It's a great move. This is the best Tailwind setter we have right now. It's fantastic. Yeah, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. But then some of the other options this mon has is Bleak Wind Storm. So Bleak Wind is its new move. 100 damage, 80% accuracy, has a 30% chance to lower the opponent's speed by 1. This is a spread move, really, really good. We touched on it before, but Taunt's really good into obviously Shroom, into opposing Taunts and Thundies. It's fantastic. And then the last slot really comes down to the team. Now, I've seen people who will maybe drop Taunt for like Icy Wind. That's pretty good, especially into like the Landrases of the world and whatnot. But basically, this mon has the ability to set weather. Now, honestly, I think this mon can work on like any team besides maybe Sand. I don't think you could run this thing with Sandstorm, but I do think this is very good with Snowscape even. You're pairing this up with like an Iron Bundle, clicking Snowscape as you just start, firing off some like Specs Blizzards, I think are really good. But basically, on the Rain team, there is one core in particular, and, it's going back to everyone's favorite, Urshifu, and then FLuttuermane. I think FLuttuermane and Tornadus they're best friends. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to run this thing on Sun for FLuttuermane to be good. FLuttuermane under Tailwind is just one of the best Pokemon there is. We touched on the set before. I think you want Specs. I think, you just want the normal stuff, right? I'm not gonna do all the EVs. We did that earlier. That's Dark Pulse. We'll fix that up in a second. But that's like Shadow Ball. It's Thunderbolt, right? Thunderbolt's really good, especially for Urshifus that want to Terra out of, their fighting type. What was this one? This was Dazzling Gleam. Yeah. And then, where is it? Varia. Sorry. I get triggered if I don't fill it in. And then again, this thing, you can run this with Scarf. Scarf plus Tailwind means you're going to outspeed absolutely everything. Mystic Water is also really good just for maximizing damage. But yeah, these mods here, like on Rain Dance, is insanely good. Like, Tornadus with these two in particular is just, it's absolutely absurd. It's super, super good. I really do love this Rain version. And again, it's splashable. You can put anything you want on this. Amoonguss is really good in the Rain. Goldango is really good in the Rain. Like, there's a lot of these mods that are really good that function in the Rain. Even like something like Bascule Legion on these teams, like Adaptability Aqua Jets are fantastic. Just super, super good. But the other core, and that is the other weather that we're going to talk about here, and that is the Sunny Day set. Now, again, Sunny Day is a bit different, right? Because you don't have the ability to like necessarily make, the Urshifu Rapid Strike good. I do think Urshifu Rapid's still really good on this, but I do think Single Strike on the Sun teams is also really, really good. Especially just for picking up surprise KOs, right? Because again, a lot of people when they see Torn, you're normally thinking it's Urshifu Water, and unless you're on Open Team Sheet, you're not going to know that it's Single Strike all the time. But again, this core could really be paired with anything, right? Chi-Yu in Sun next to Tornadus is insane. Everyone knows Chi-Yu and FLuttuermane together is insane. And like a Specs FLuttuermane, like again, you run like a set like I had before, right? You run this up to like 82 speed. You run this to here. You go Modest. Like, dude, look at this attack stat. And you're giving it a Life Orb and a Choice Specs, but you don't lose the HP. Like, it's like, I do think FLuttuermane is probably the best Pokemon in the game right now, and Tornadus with it is just, it's not fair. Like, not to mention, again, like with Chi-Yu, all of a sudden your Bleak Wind Storm's doing like massive damage. There's other ones who, like Heatran really loves it. We were talking about Heatran earlier. Heatran loves being in the sun. Like, again, this mon can get an absurdly high special attack stat, right? Like, you can get this thing up to 300 pretty damn easy. You can slap a Life Orb on it, you can slap Heat Wave on it, and then all of a sudden, things that, like, resist fire are getting messed up by this, right? Like, you're doing so much damage. Like really, I do think the Sun mode is a little underplayed at the minute, because, like, the other thing with Sunny Day as well is it's really good into, like, the Urshifus, right? Like, it really hurts Urshifu, Rapid Strike, right? Because all of a sudden, like, Rapid Strike, who should, one-shot a FLuttuermane, all of a sudden is doing, like, 50% to a FLuttuermane and just one-shotting. Like, even the Scarf variants, like, aren't doing anything. Like, I've seen people who try to, like, Surging Strike me, and all I have to do is just set Sunny Day, and all of a sudden, they're just useless. They can't do anything in the game. It's like, yeah, it is super, super good. And I think Tornadus right now, without a doubt, is probably my favorite way to play the game, and I think it's just, it's so flexible. It can be played in weather. It doesn't have to be in weather. Like, this mon, it's too damn good. Now, I'm sure you boys all were hoping this core was gone. The Dondozo Tatsugiri team. Now, look, while I do think this core has definitely fallen off a bit, the power creep right now is pretty scary for it, with, some mons like the Urshifus are able to, get through its crits. This mon can be, it can be a bit easier to break through than, you'd like it to be. But there is another Pokemon that has been introduced that I think is really, really helping this core. And it's a massive pain in the ass to deal with, and that is Zoroark. Yes, the Hisuian Zoroark paired up with Tatsugiri and Dondozo is pretty damn scary, because you can just disguise this thing as your Dondozo. Like, turn one, and this is the thing that annoys me, right? So again, this is like the other mon I've seen people running on it. It's Azelf, right? Azelf, there we go. It's Azelf, right? But why Azelf can go boom? Yeah, it's got explosion, right? So I've had a lot of games where you see like these 4 here at, you know, at the start of the game, and you just see them lead Azelf plus Dondozo. And you're like, well, he's clicking boom next to his Zoroark, right? It's like, you're wrong, actually. It is actually the Dondozo, and then he swaps in, and then he just nukes you, right? Like, this puts so much pressure on the mind games. Like, if the mind games weren't bad enough already, where it was like, you know, someone leads Dondozo, and then you're like, shit, is he protecting? Is he swapping in the Tatsu and attacking? You know, is he clicking Yawn? Like, there's so many mind games involved with this. And then now you just add Zoroark to it. And it's like, oh, well, shit, is this actually Dondozo? It's like, well, let's get it out with Fake Out. It's like, well, you can't get it out with Fake Out. You know, is he going to click Protect? Like, are you about to get hit by, like, a Specs Hyper Beam, a Specs Hyper Voice? Like, you know, it doesn't have Focus Sash, right? Like, I've had times where, like, you know, I'll lead my Thundy into this, and I'm like, shit, doesn't matter what it is, click T-Bolt. It's like, it's a Focus Sash. It, you know, fired off this, like, massive, you know, special attack, and it hurts. Or there's other times where, as I said, you know, they'll disguise this as the Dozo. They'll click Boom, man. Like, they'll just go fucking Boom. Like, he doesn't care. Like, you can run, like, Terra Normal on this and just go Boom. Like, we kind of touched on it the other day with Regieleki, but, like, that attack stat with, you know, Explosion is not okay. You know, you put, like, normal gem on this thing, like, that's not okay. That is too much damage. And again, you put it next to a Hisuian Zoroark where you just, like, he just goes boom and he clicks Hyper Voice and your board just gets cleared. Like, these two mons are really quick. Like, unless you're running, like, Hyper Offense into this, it does a lot of damn damage. And not to mention, like, Zoroark is really good into the Urshifu stuff because, you know, yeah, sure, you can attack the, you know, the Zoroark with Ice Spinner or Sucker Punch, but you can't E-Speed it. And again, you could, like, disguise this as the Dondozo, and it's like, well, shit, you know, let's go for, like, you know, Sacred Sword into it. I can't Sacred Sword it, you know, I'm a Ghost type. It's just, this score here is, like, super, super annoying. It's just so much mind games, dude, because even if it is open team sheet and you know that, like, hey, there's a Zoroark, like, hey, you know, this is like a Oblivious one. Like, a lot of people are running Oblivious, so you can't intimidate it, by the way. But yeah, if you run something like this, like, it's just, there's so many mind games involved in it. It's just super, super annoying to deal with, and it's definitely a core I think we're going to continue to see rise up. And last but not least, it wouldn't be a Scutisi video if we didn't talk about Rain. Yes, I'm a big Rain enjoyer, and I think there are some Pokemon right now that absolutely love Rain. I think this core here with Pelipper is absolutely insane. Again, like, a cool thing that I really like with a lot of these cores is the flexibility they have, right? I feel like I've said that with, you know, like, half these teams. They're flexible, they're splashable, you can put them with anything. This core right here in particular with, like, Power Knight becomes insane, right? Because, again, it's like, shit, you know, you lead you, like, Amoonguss because you're like, all right, I want my Amoonguss to, like, redirect and, like, help, you know, help it, you know, maybe, like, you know, Amoonguss plus FLuttuermane, yeah? And you're like, all right, I'll just go redirection, I'll click, you know, the Dazzling Gleam, I'll at least get 1 KO. And then it's like, oh, shit, they actually just led, like, you know, Pelipper plus, like, Bastion Legion into me. And it's like, well, crap. Now I've got to eat a Wave Crash, you know, an Adaptability Wave Crash in the rain. I have seen people as well running a pretty rogue set here, but it's like, you go, like, I don't know, I think Damprock. I like Damprock on this. Just to maximize those turns. And then you just go, like, Hurricane. And then you go Bulky, Max. You go Modest, and then it's like, okay, like, this attack stat with, like, Terra Flying Hurricanes in the rain, it's like, dude, it's not fun to deal with. This mod also gives you, like, Tailwind. It gives you Wide Guard. You know, you can run Hydro Pump on this, but I'll tell you guys right now, what is the point in running, you know, 3 water types if you're going to slap, you know, Hydro Pump on this? Just give it Protect, or, you know, like, I've even seen some people run some, like, pretty cool, like, different techs on this. Like, you can run things like Blizzard. Chilling Water's not bad. Ice Beam's also pretty cool. Like, Ice Beam can obviously help you out with, like, your Landos and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot of different things this mon can do. I just like, you know, even like Helping Hand. Something else I didn't touch on. Helping Hand even on this is, like, really good. If you want, you can run like Focus Sash on this though, and just run like Max. That's another option, right? Especially, you know, if you're like worried about people maybe picking up a KO on you with, like, I don't know, like a Regieleki, a Thunderus or something like that. You can just run like this, and then, like, with this much speed, if you do get the Tailwind up, all of a sudden, you know, you're getting these Hurricanes off. You can also run like Terra Grass on this mon as well. I think Terra Grass is, like, another great option. But yeah, I think Pelipper is a mon that right now that is a bit slept on. And then you just got Big Bad Bastion Legion. You know, this thing with, like, Mystic Water, with Choice Band, with Life Orb, it does so much. A lot of people like Swift Swim. I think Swift Swim plus Tailwind obviously is, like, really, really good. But I just love adaptability, man. Like, I love that this mon is so bulky, and it's like, even if you resist this Wave Crash, if I'm adamant with Terra Water, like, you're getting clapped by this Wave Crash. Like, you do not want to eat this Wave Crash in the rain from, like, adaptability Bastion Legion. This mon's insane, dude. Last Respect also, like, Last Respect's late game is absurd. Like, I've had games where, like, I'll come in and, like, it'll be my last mon, and then I'll just, like, KO a Hisuian Goodra from, like, 60%. Like, this mon, it's stupid. And then, you know, Urshifu, we said it before, we'll say it again. Urshifu, doesn't matter. I think if you're running it with Basculegion, you probably do want, like, Scarf on this mon. But this mon in the rain is insane. You just go Surging Strikes and you kill everything. It's too damn good. Like, it is really too damn good. And then, like, the other cool thing as well with, like, these rain teams as well is you can just, like, slap, like, a Lando Eye on it. Like, all of a sudden, you just go, like, you know, Timid, Life Orb, Lando Eye with, like, Sandsear Storm. And it's just, like, dude, like this core, it's so good, man. Like, even a Thundy, you can, like, slap a Thundy on this team with, like, Wild Bolt Storm, man. It's, like, I generally do think Rain is a little underexplored right now. And without a doubt, like, this core 3 here is, like, super good. And just, like, all the genies being good in Rain is, like, it's so good, man. Like, a lot of these mons love Rain. Man, it's so fun. I'm so glad that, like, Rain is still good, even though we don't have any amazing setters. Like, I'm telling you boys right now, once Kyogre comes back, you know, I'm going to have my Basculegion, my Urshifu, man. We're going to be having fun in the rain, boys. Actually, Walking Wake, that's it. When Walking Wake's in the game, boys. Walking Wake Kyogre, that's my guy right there. That's my freaking guy, man. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. Please let me know down below what you guys think of all these cores. Let me know what your favorite ones are. Which ones you think maybe aren't that good? Which ones you think are probably underrated even? There's obviously a lot of things, you know, going into this meta. The meta is still quite underexplored. We've only had roughly 4 weeks or so of experimenting, and, you know, a lot of the top players are still focusing on Regulation C as they're, you know, preparing for NAIC. So I'm really curious to see what you guys think of the teams and the cores down below. Of course, you know, if you got here, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It means the world to me. It really helps, you know, the channel grow and get exposure. And, you know, that's what we want. You know, we want to... You know, we want to keep growing, keep improving, and, you know, become the best battlers we can be. But anyway, guys, that's going to be me for this one. I'll catch you in the next one. A peace.